Talksteer Luke here, and in this video I want to introduce you to our latest addition to the Talksteer fleet, the 2006 Audi A3, which you can see is very filthy and neglected. It spent the best part of last year waiting repair, so it's been sat up on people's driveways, in and out of mechanics' yards, it's been neglected and it's been unloved. And this car is actually replacing a nice, shiny, brand new Fiesta we bought last year, the 2017 ST line. That's gone. We're in with this 2006 A3, and I'm going to get into the hows and whys I've got rid of the Fiesta and bought this in a separate video coming up in the next few weeks. We've got engine bay cleans, we've got interior details, we've got the exterior detail here. We have wheel refurbs, wheel arch cleans, so lots and lots of content all coming up in the next few weeks, so stay tuned on this channel. Hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon to be alerted of all future videos. Right, because I have so much content to show in this video, I'm just going to try and wing this in one quick continuous voiceover rather than scripting everything out as usual. So the first thing I'm doing here is hitting the car with a citrus pre-wash. This is Citrus Power by Auto Finesse, and I'm just coating the entire surface of this car because it's so dirty. I'm letting that sit on there for about 5 to 10 minutes. This is going to break down and soften any dirt and road grime on the car, so when I hit with the pressure washer, a lot more stuff's going to be taken off. If you click the link in the description below, you can actually save 10% on all the Auto Finesse products that I've listed. This really helps me as well, because although you save 10%, I get a small kickback as well, which really helps to fund my channel and future videos. So basically, everyone's a winner. You can see in this shot here, I'm getting quite close with the pressure washer on quite a high setting. This is because I'm just trying to be a bit more aggressive with the car at the moment because it's so dirty, and I just really want to try and take as much contaminant off the car as possible and as much loose dirt. So when I come to wash it properly with my hands in a second, there's just going to be less chance of actually scratching the paintwork. However, actually preventing swirls at the moment and not scratching the paintwork is not my main priority, because we're going to be doing paint correction. My main priority at the moment is getting this car to be as clean as physically possible. Here I used Sam's iron reactor to just tackle the wheels. I'm spending the least amount of time on this detail on the wheels. I'm just doing a very quick clean, because you can see in this shot there is quite a bit of curb marks around the wheels, so they do need a good refurb. I'm going to be taking these off in the next few weeks, so I just want them to look half respectable in this time and devote the rest of the time I have to actually making the paintwork shine as best as possible. Now it's on to the second pre-wash, which is a layer of snow foam. Now I know some people like to use the Citrus Power underneath the snow foam and do it as one pre-wash. I just thought it was more effective than this one doing it separately, whatever floats your boat really. But I'm just making sure that the car is covered top to bottom with the snow foam. If anyone's wondering, I'm using Sam's snow foam in this video, which I really like. But I'm just getting on really nice, really thick, leaving on there for about 10 minutes before I blast it off with a pressure washer. So hopefully the car be in a a pretty clean state at least before we go on to the contact wash. So this wash method probably will cause a little bit of controversy, which is something I'm used to by now on this channel. So I'm using Meguiars Wash Plus, which is different to a normal shampoo because it has micro abrasives in it like a polish does. And this is great because it's going to, in a sense, exfoliate the paintwork of the car. I'm going to apply this in a regular motion back and forth like normal. What you're going to see me do now is actually flip the wash mitt over, and then go in circular motions on the paintwork, which some people are going to be screaming, no, don't do that. But the idea is here, the car should be fairly clean. I'm not too bothered about instilling a few swirl marks here, I'm more bothered about getting it clean at the moment, because we're doing full paint correction later on. So the idea is, with those microabrasives going in circular motions, they will have a better chance at penetrating any dirt or stuck on contaminants on the paintwork, doing it that way. You may also notice at this point I have one bucket and I've just re-dunked a wash mitt into there. Just a disclaimer, I'm actually using about 6 to 7 wash mitts during this wash. And what I'm doing, every time I dunk something back in the bucket, it's a new clean wash mitt. The old ones just get thrown in the sink, they're going to get washed later on separately. So I'm never introducing a dirty wash mitt into the bucket, so it's always nice and clean. There's very, very little chance of cross-contamination in this method. But as you see here, I'm going to again flip the wash mitt over to the other side and then go in circular motions. With all the loose contaminants clean, it's now onto the decontamination, and this is stage 1 of 3, and this is the fallout remover, and I'm using Iron Reactor by Sam's Detailing. And I love this product. It's going to target any iron particles in the paintwork, making it a bit easier when we clay bar later on. And it's non-abrasive, unlike a clay bar. Now you may be wondering, why am I applying this to a wet car? It's just going to run off, isn't it? Well, actually no, this product is so thick. Sam's Detailing has added a gel formula to it, and you can see it just clings to the paintwork of this wet car really, really well. And it's going to allow it to work itself in, and it's going to break down all those iron particles and allow them to be washed off very, very easily. And you can see in this shot now, this has been on the car for at least 5 minutes, and it's just staying on there, it's clinging to the paintwork, and it's just breaking it down. So it's going to be very, very effective when we come to blast it off with the pressure washer. Stage 2 of the decontamination is to spray a tar remover on the bottom parts of the car. Now I know you can't really see this on a black car, but trust me, there's a lot of tar deposits on there. This is a high mileage motorway car, and I've also just dried the bottom of the car off beforehand with a microfiber towel, just so this product can actually work its way in better. I feel like this one is better applied dry. So I've let this sit on there for a couple of minutes, and I'm going to come in with a clean microfiber cloth. I'm just going to rub it off, and pretty much 90% of the tar deposits have come off on a single pass, and it's going to make it much easier now when we clay bar the car in the next stage. Now it's not really necessary to dry the car at this stage since we're going on to the clay bar, but because I'm pulling the car into the garage, I'd rather the bodywork be a little bit drier than it is, just so it doesn't drip all over the floor. For clay lube, I am using a mixture of lather pure shampoo by Auto Finesse and some warm water in a spray bottle. And I'm just going to be quiet here so you can listen to the contaminants on the paintwork. You can see when I go over the same spot later on, you can see how much quieter it is. So the car wasn't actually as contaminated as I was expecting. When I had to examine the clay bar after doing the bonnet, it didn't look too bad. But I suspect a large part of that was down to the iron reactor actually doing its job pretty well and pulling a lot of contaminants off the paintwork. With the paintwork fully decontaminated, it's now onto the exciting part which you've all been waiting for, swirl marks. And being a black car, these show up very, very good. And as you can see in this shot, the paintwork is pretty trashed and there's swirl marks and scratches throughout. Before I use the polisher on the car, I'm just using Rewind by Hydrosilex. This is a wax and grease remover, and the idea is I want to make sure there's no residue left on the car from any of the shampoos or anything, so when I hit it with the compounding pads in a second, they can attack the paintwork directly and not get clogged up with anything else, making the polishing more effective. For this, I'm using Meguiars Ultimate Compound with my 5-inch compounding Lake Country pads with my Auto Finesse DPX Dual Action Polisher. And you can see here I'm using lots and lots of little dots all over the face of the pad. And I find this works better than 3 big dots, especially when you're priming the pads, because it allows you to get complete coverage, so every square inch of the pads can actually be cutting the paintwork rather than just hot spotting in a few places. So I spread it out with my fingers, and I can already hear someone screaming in the comment section I should be using gloves. I hear you. But I didn't have any with me at the time, and then I spread it out over the paintwork of the car. After blobbing it out, I stuck on a low speed, speed 2 on my polisher, and actually just spread it out a bit more evenly, so when I stick up to high setting it's not going to fling everywhere. While this is spreading out, let me kind of explain what I'm trying to achieve with this compounding. I'm not going for 100% swirl mark removal. This is just purely because of time frame. I have the car for 6 hours in my mate's garage, and it's just not enough time to get to 100%. So I'm trying to go for about 80%, get the car in a very respectable condition, and you know, maybe I'll do an extra 20% when it comes nicer weather in spring. I focused on this small section and did about 4 passes just to see what I have to contend with the rest of the car. Of course, you may notice some bigger defects and just swirl marks, such as that big scratch above the Audi badge. Now I do have to say I didn't actually film me getting that scratch out, but I actually went over with 1500 grit sandpaper, then 3000 by hand before using the polisher later on the rest of the bonnet, and that scratch came out almost perfectly. After about 4 passes, I buffed her off with a clean microfiber cloth and inspected the paintwork with a torch. As you can see in this shot, this is a part that's not been compounded and there's tons of swirl marks underneath there. But as we go over to the treated part, you can see it's vastly reduced. At least 80, possibly 90% of the swirls have gone. It looks a hell of a lot better than it did. I'd probably say we need about 6 passes to go for 100% swirl removal, but I'm very happy with that level of smoothness to the paintwork at the moment. Apologies if these camera angles don't look too good. It's again later in the day, the light's starting to fade, but I basically just did the exact same process to the rest of the car. And with the compounding done, it was time to go on to polishing the car. So I used Meguiars Ultimate Polish, which also has a kind of a glaze in there as well, just to enhance the gloss a little bit more. And as you can see here, I just went on the bonnet, but it's much lighter than the compound, and I put this on to about speed 4, with the compound is kind of on speed 5 on the polisher. And I had to go on a quicker pass because we're only trying to remove the very slight haze of the compound left behind. A lot of people get hung up and put too much polish on the pads and go too slow, and you kind of start taking away, getting the clear coat clogged up on the pads then, and you can actually start introducing a haze rather than taking it away. But yeah, a nice quick pass with the polisher. I spent about maybe 30 minutes polishing the entire car after doing the compound, which probably took about 2 hours. And I forgot to mention before as well, when I was compounding the car, I actually swapped between multiple pads as I went through each section. So I did the bonnet, threw that pads in the wash, took a new pad out, and I used about 6 pads over the entire car. The polishing, I probably used about 2 to 3 pads because we don't actually have to spend as much time on it, so they don't get clogged up quite as bad. So I then buffed it off with another clean microfiber cloth and then inspected the paintwork. This stage the car was looking very shiny, but of course we needed to protect it, so I'm using a ceramic coating, which is, this one is Hydrosilex. And I've got a review on my channel of this. Really like this product. It's not as durable as some ceramic coatings. It lasts for about 6 months, but it's extremely easy to apply, and the finish is just fantastic. But yeah, it's a really great product, and this kind of product that's ideal to apply when I've got a short time frame like this, where I can't wait for something to cure. It is just a literal spray on and wipe off type formula, and 6 months is still fairly respectable, when you compare it to likes of waxes, and I found this has got a better shine, there's a better depth to it. I feel like probably the ceramic elements in it just give a smoother finish to the car because it can bond with the paintwork better than a wax can. At this stage I had to give up because my mates needed to lock the garage up because it was the end of the day and the lights had pretty much gone. But back on my driveway, this is what the car looks like now, and it's so much better than when I picked it up. It's got a lovely shine to it. The car looks really respectable for a 13-year-old car compared to what it looked like before. It was just yucky to begin with. And this car now is something I could be proud of, that can sit there and can say, that's ours, and not be ashamed of the condition of it. But I think this car's come up really well, considering I've put about 6 hours work into the car from start to finish at this point. I think it's been a massive improvement, and I'm really happy with the results. Now, I will have the interior detail come up fairly soon, and if you thought the outside was bad, the interior is twice as bad. It's just covered in engine oil and grease and dust. It is absolutely disgusting. But so far on the outside, I know it's not perfect finish on the car, but in the time frame I've got, I am so happy with it. When you just check out this reflection, it looks so much better than it did before. There's a depth there, there's a gloss there. I know I've got a few stone chips we need to contend with. I'll be doing them at a later date. But that's basically everything on the exterior detail so far, so thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. Hit that subscribe so you don't miss anything else I'm doing to this car in the next few weeks coming up. But until then, take care and see you soon.